tardes. Estamos de nuevo en el Simposio de Finanzas, el 11º Nacional y 8º Internacional. Nos encontramos con el conferencista Faruk, a quien le vamos a hacer algunas preguntas de la ponencia que acaba de dar. So, the first is, what medium-term policies would you think could help regulators incentivize banks to finance productive activities and to speculate less?
Okay, so I think that in the medium term, say in a few years in the future, the regulators must implement some macroprudential regulation designs, and these designs, these devices consist in putting some barriers between speculative activities and productive activities financing. So the traditional banking consists or was consisting in financing productive activities of normal industrial enterprises, while the speculative financing of the liberalized finance of today consists in financing some speculative positions on securities, on financial assets, etc., without worrying about the working of the real economy. So the first thing that a regulator must aim to realize is to separate this kind of activities, financial speculative activities and financing of productive industrial activities. And maybe it may consist in separating banks which are authorized to finance industrial activities at the long run, industrial investments of the long run, and banks which would engage more in speculative financing. I think that that's the first thing that we can imagine at the medium term in terms of effective regulation.
Okay, and the second and last is if we can move out from the, you told like the music continues and we can stop. So there's any way to move out from the music and let it?
So no, for the individuals, for the private agents, there is no.
I mean, for avoid the crisis.
Yeah, for the individuals, for the enterprises, for banks, etc., there is no possibility to move out from the business before the crisis.
So
because
there's
it's not
any
possible.
way to avoid the crisis?
That's not the job of individual economic agents. That's the job of the regulator. The regulator must put an end to the speculative activities when he or she will think that the situation is very critical. Okay, then the systemic crisis becomes very worrying. Then the regulator must stop the game and must oblige different individual actors to adopt more sound positions.
For example, in the 2008 crisis, that didn't happen.
No, because the regulation it was, and now also it stands the same. The regulation is liberal regulation, so that consists in letting people doing everything, and after we will try to arrange things when there is some crisis, there are some crises, etc. So the new alternative regulation must be a preventive regulation with some rules, some must-be's, some rules that individual agents must implement, must respect, and they will be controlled, supervised by the regulator, and they will be sanctioned by the regulator if they are not in respect with this kind of rules. So to be brief, the enterprises, the private enterprises, cannot deal with the problem of systemic stability, cannot deal with the problem of crisis. That's the regulator and the public power who or which must deal with this kind of problem. So that means that the regulation must rest on macro organization and supervision of the whole system, financial
But
system.
as you're saying, that should happen before the crisis. I mean,
Yeah.
that can happen like a little bit before from.
Yeah. If the regulator assess that the situation is very critical, then he or she has to stop the game.
So in the crisis from 2008, there was a possibility to avoid that in the middle of what was happening.
Yeah, after the crisis of the 2007 and 8, the regulator has intervened after the crisis
Yeah.
to save the people. Okay, not to resolve the problem, to save the people, to prevent the systemic bank run. Okay, so in the alternative regulation model that I defend, the regulator must dominate the game and must tell people you can continue to play or you don't, you have to stop. I will supervise control and I will tell you if you are able to continue without systemic fragilities or not. Okay, so that's not a free market mechanism, that's a highly regulated mechanism with high interventions, permanent interventions from the public power.
Okay, that's it. So
Thank you very
so
much for your attention.